Hey guys, so last hyphens video, we're going to talk about hyphens with prefixes and suffix. Okay, now just to recap, and we should know this because we've been talking about these all year in our prefix or root or suffix of the week, but prefixes are a letter or set of letters placed before a root word. Suffix is a letter or set of letters placed after the root word. Okay, now you don't usually need to hyphenate prefixes and suffixes when you add them to a root word, but there are a few special circumstances where you do need to do that. So I just want to talk about those right now. Okay, now rule number one, when you're adding a prefix to a proper noun, you do need to add a hyphen. Okay, so for example, trans-American, mid-July. All right, I've added these prefixes to them, so I want to hyphenate them. All right, so before a proper noun, when you're adding a prefix, you need to put a hyphen. Now, one weird little nitpicky rule, when you're describing your family, great requires a hyphen, but grand becomes part of the word. So my grandson and my granduncle never met, okay? We don't need to add a hyphen there because we're saying grand. If I said my great-great-grandfather fought in the Civil War, okay, I do want to put hyphens, okay? I don't need to hyphenate, though, when I say they're my half-brother or they're my half-sister, so you don't have to hyphenate those. But you do want to hyphenate whenever you're saying, you know, my great-great-great-great, whatever. All right? Now, for clarity, when we're adding a prefix, and that prefix ends in the same vowel that the root word begins with, it gets a little confusing looking, okay? So you want to add a hyphen between those. So like ultra ambitious, those ultra ends with an A, ambitious starts with an A. We want to put a hyphen. Semi-invalid, same thing. We've got two I's in a row. We want to put a hyphen. Re-elect, same thing, okay? Now imagine each of these words without their hyphens. So like look at each of these. You see how weird that looks? The A, ultra, ambitious, semi-valid, re-elect, okay? It looks weird. All right, so we don't want to do that, all right? We want to leave our hyphens in, all right? Now, similarly, when you add a suffix and the last letter is the same as the first letter of your suffix, it makes more sense to add a hyphen. So graffiti-ism, wiretap proof. Okay, so whenever you're adding a prefix or a suffix and you're making it double up on those letters, you want to add a hyphen just for clarity, okay? Now, hyphenate all words beginning with self, x, and all. So when you add one of those hyphens, or sorry, when you add one of those prefixes, you need to add a hyphen with it. So self-assured, x, mare, all knowing, okay? So self, x, and all, add a hyphen. All right, now, sometimes it's just confusing. Like when you add a prefix, the word doesn't make sense without a hyphen, or it could be mistaken for a different word. Okay, so like for example, de-ice, right? So if I said like I needed to de-ice my windshield before I could drive, all right, imagine that word, I'll just type it here, imagine that word without a hyphen. I would see that and be like, is that a name? Like, is that some word I don't know? It just looks weird. We don't really recognize it because that's not like a common prefix to put on there. So in that situation, adding the prefix helps us figure out, oh, okay, they're saying I need to de-ice, not deece or something, okay? All right, now this is often an issue with the prefix re, so you want to be careful with it. Use a hyphen with the prefix re when, if we took the hyphen out, it would look like another word, okay? So for example, if I said, will she recover from her illness, that word recover means like get better from, okay? But if I said I have recovered the sofa twice, that means I put a new cover on it twice, okay? It does not mean I healed the sofa from its illness or something, okay? So we want to put the hyphen there because otherwise we'd confuse it with this other word, okay? Now, she repressed the urge to scream out loud. Repressed, word meaning like to hold it in, okay? I must repress the shirt. I'm not holding the shirt in. I'm pressing it again, okay? So we want to make sure that we put the hyphen there so you can tell the difference between those two words, okay? All right, so most of the time with hyphens and prefixes and suffixes, you're just trying to make it less confusing. So, you know, a time when the word wouldn't be recognizable, or it would be confused with another word, or you would have too many of the same vowel or too many of the same consonant in a row. So most of the time, we're just trying to make it clear. Okay? All right. Almost done with hyphens. we'll do some more practice with them next week, and hopefully you'll have it all down then.